In life, you have three choices on how to create wealth. I call these three different choices or options the three wealth personalities. So I recently did a infographic and posted it on Instagram, and I thought a video on this concept would be an absolute must. So here we go, the three wealth personalities. They are sidewalker, slow laner, and fast laner. Now, every one of us falls into one of these categories. Some of us can be partly represented by all three personalities, but for the most part, every single one of us is predominantly represented by one of them. So the big question is, which one are you and which one can you be? So here are the primary differences between the three wealth personalities. The sidewalker earns income by an hourly rate. The slow laner earns income by a salary. And the fast laner earns income by net profit through business ownership. For the sidewalker, wealth is not created at all, but it is envied and wished for. For the slow laner, they use time and stock market risks to lever wealth. That means they are fully committed to investing their entire life savings into the stock market on the premise that if they just patiently wait for 50 years, they will get rich. The fast laner, however, uses units sold to lever wealth, meaning they have unlimited scale in how much profit their business makes. For instance, if you create and invent a new widget, you have the possibility to sell not only 100, but 1,000,000. This is how a fast laner gets rich. Which brings us to the next point. A fast laner gets rich in 10 years or less. The slow laner gets rich in 40 years or more. And that's the sad reality because compound interest is not very effective when you're dealing with small numbers and a small savings rate. And of course, the sidewalker, well, they get rich with luck. In other words, they play the lottery. So when it comes to time, for the sidewalker, it is absolutely wasted. It is squandered. It is not looked at as an asset or a limited commodity. For the slow laner, time is a liability. Now, that's because a slow laner is always trading their time for money. And to top it off, because wealth is predicated on the stock market, that means they're trading time for investments in the market over decades and decades, which means time becomes a liability. And then for the fast laner, time becomes an asset, which means they are constantly making money 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Time, when it passes, makes the fast laner money. So another distinction is a fast laner focuses on income, meaning they have an offensive approach to winning the game. They know the more points you score, the easier it is for you to win. Conversely, the slow laner is the opposite. They focus on expenses or defense. In other words, this is the old dingbat dance of frugality, where you want to live and skimp and save every dime you make, stop eating out at restaurants, stop doing this, stop doing that. In other words, settle for less because you're going to be rich when you're 65 years old. This is a defensive approach, focusing on expenses. Now for the sidewalker, they don't give a shit. They focus on consumption. What's going to make me feel good now, and who cares what the cost is? So when it comes to saving, the fast laner saves and reinvests 90% of their net profit. Now, if that seems ridiculous, it's because a fast laner actually makes 5-6 figures monthly. So saving it at a rate of 90%, 80%, whatever, isn't that impractical. In fact, it is quite reasonable. The slow laner, well, you know what they do. They save 10% of their paycheck and then they repeat for 50 years. The sidewalker, well, you know, he saves nothing. So when it comes to learning, the fast laner is constantly learning new things. And they're constantly learning new things to facilitate their business system. They never stop learning, and they understand that education didn't end at graduation. The slow laner also educates himself, but he only does it periodically, and it is done to enhance his salary. And then we get the sidewalker who learns nothing but pop culture and various trivial matters that mean absolutely nothing in the grand scheme of things. So at the end of the day, the sidewalker does not control his financial future. The government does. The politicians he votes for does. The slow laner, his financial future is controlled by the job market, the stock market, and in some respects, the housing market. Those are three things he cannot control. And finally, the fast laner controls his financial future because he has created massive wealth. He doesn't care if the stock market crashes or if the stock market, isn't doing very well, because he has amassed a fortune that can manage those humps. Inflation becomes negligible because if you have millions of dollars, you're suddenly not going to care that bread went up from $3 to $3.50. So which one are you? Fast laner, slow laner, or sidewalker? So to close this up, each one of these wealth personalities lead to a predisposed destination. The destination predisposed for a sidewalker is poverty. The predisposed destination for a slow laner is mediocrity. And the predisposed disposition for the fast laner is wealth. Which one are you, and which one will you be?